Welcome to Backyards and Bevvies. Grab your favorite bevy, pull up a chair, and enjoy the ride. Hey, B&B fam. This podcast is sponsored to you by BetterHelp, H-E-L-P. Is there something getting in the way of your happiness? I know when I traveled the world, I had many days where BetterHelp's worldwide service of licensed professional therapists could have helped me speak to someone no matter where I was in the world about whatever was happening with my life, and with zero judgment. With their ability to match me with a therapist that best fits me, I know my mental health would have been way better back then. Believe me, I needed it. But I'm here to share a way for you to take back control of your mental health by telling you about BetterHelp's awesome services they have for you to talk with a pro about your life through their app or just online. Whether it is a video session or some simple messaging, their team is here to help. I went to check out the app for myself just to see how easy it was to use, and after a series of questions, I was told I would be able to start matching with a therapist in under 48 hours. And what is super rad is that it's affordable and they even offer financial aid too. So come join the 2 million users that have already been helped and gain back control of your mental health by visiting betterhelp.com/backyards for 10% off your first month. Remember, BetterHelp is therapy done securely online. Don't forget to use the special code BACKYARDS and let BetterHelp, H-E-L-P, help you to start living a happier life today. Welcome to Backyards and Bevvies.
Hi, everybody.
Welcome to this week's midweek treat.
Midweek treat.
Yeah, hey, summer, spring day.
Yeah.
I feel like it should be summer. We're like already at May.
Almost.
But yeah, we're recording in the morning. It's a beautiful, lovely day. The sun is shining upon us. It's beautiful. There's pollen.
Raining pollen everywhere.
Falling from the sky.
So much pollen.
The trees are just in bloom. It's a wonderful, wonderful day. And I woke up this morning and every once in a while I have to clean out my notes, you know, like I don't know how you file stuff, but I have like 7 different ways of like making reminders and notes for myself depending on where I am in the world.
I don't really use the notes app except for the notes that like we share between each other.
Okay.
I email myself to remind myself of things.
Yeah, you're a big email and calendar person.
Yeah.
I'm a big reminder, post-it note, and note on my phone reminder kind of person. And today I was like, oh my gosh, I opened it up and our show notes, like I have like a potential show discussion notes, like little thing that we share. And I don't think you ever look at it, but
sometimes
I went into it this morning and I was like, oh wow, there's just stuff in there that
need to clean this out.
Yeah, there's ideas that pop up, or there's like a subject that I hear something, and I'm like, oh, that'll be like a cool thing to talk about. A lot of it is just no. Especially after you reread it or something, and who knows what state of mind I was in. I could have been eating a gummy, or I could have had a little vodka in me, or I could have just been really tired.
Yeah, 100%.
And I always think like late night when you're in one of those like situations, I call it a time machining. I just go to a different place.
Machine,
your mind wanders, or you start to like think up stuff, and you're like, that'd be a really cool conversation.
Yeah.
And I must have been brushing my teeth one night because one of the notes was open show with the story about being high and having my cat watch me spit water out while brushing my teeth.
Okay. I don't know if that was such a good idea, but
it was. I think it was a funny idea at the time.
At the time, you're like, "Oh, this is genius."
Well, it's one of those awesome things because we look at our animals all the time. We look at our little human, and I'm like, "What is he thinking?" Or or the animal looks back at you, and they're like, "Oh, this person's doing this again." They're just annoying the f out of me. So I must have been time machining that night and just been in a whole different zone, and I was like staring at the cat. Well, every night they watch me brush my teeth.
They do.
So it's like you guys.
They're upset that you're running the water and they're not able to drink it.
I can believe that. I mean, like, I'm watching one of them right now try to MacGyver his way out of a door because
literally, you have the door blocked with the cooler, and it is shaking so hard because Archie is trying to escape.
He's a violent, strong cat.
Let me out!
He's our medium-sized cat, and he is probably the
determined.
toughest.
He is definitely the most determined, that's for sure.
The 50-pound dog is terrified of him.
Yep.
The other two cats are...
They bow down to King Archie.
And two of the animals outweigh him by 5 and like 25 pounds.
100%.
He's a smart one.
Yeah.
But I think that he had that was my point with making that. It wasn't really to talk about my cat watching me brush my teeth, though that is funny.
Mm-hmm.
And I think
more to say he's like analyzing you in that moment.
Yeah, like, and seeing the 420 just passed, I'm sure a lot of people experienced a fun day of like staring at an animal like,
like, what are you thinking, dude?
What are you thinking, dude? And I think that there's there's something fun about spending like a few minutes a day like playing with your animal, and then just kind of thinking, what are they thinking when we go to play ball or when we go to put catnip down? I mean, they are going. They are time machining when we put the catnip down.
100%. 100%.
But yeah, so I don't know. I'm one of those people that I use notes, reminders. I use stick-it notes. I try to use calendar stuff. I'm getting better at the calendar stuff.
Because I send you calendar invites all the time.
I wouldn't say that I'm great at it.
I've got you. Don't worry.
I have figured out that if I delete them, then they just keep coming back. So I have to add them.
Yeah, 100%. You better accept, because I keep an eye on if you accept or not.
Can you see that?
Yeah, it lets me know when you accept.
Wow. How do will it show you if I block you?
I just wouldn't recommend that as your wife. It's not like I send you calendar invites for everything, only for the important things, like little dude's doctor's appointments, or if I have to work on a weekend like I do tomorrow, so that you know, like, hey, I'm not going to be around to help out with the nug. Yeah,
you've been busy this week.
Yeah, and this upcoming week is going to be
you showed
insane.
me, speaking of your schedule, you showed me how you do your stuff. It's incredible to me how organized or unorganized people can be. You know, like, I don't really think there's I don't know, I feel like I'm on the more unorganized side just because I've always lived kind of just day to day. So, being like half organized.
I think you're organized. I'm like hyper organized when it comes to work, though, because it's so detail oriented that,
True.
I mean, especially in a situation like I'm about to be in for the next 7 days, all of the details down to the minute matter because of how the schedule is going to run.
For sure.
So.
Yeah, no, it's going to be exciting. I mean, we can't say exactly what it is, but you're doing some TV stuff, which is pretty cool.
And TV stuff going on.
And TV stuff is always fun because I feel like, oh, geez, there's a lot of pollen just blowing in.
Goodness gracious.
It might look like it's raining if you're watching this on YouTube.
Yikes.
I do feel, though, that TV is one of those fun ones where, if you're off by fractions of time, you just end up, the whole day ends up going long, and then unions and pay and all the things really take into account. So
for sure,
TV people really stay to a very strict, or try to, timeline.
And depending on what you're taping, I mean, normally a TV day, you're looking at least 8 hours, but this week we've got 12 plus hour days, like for 6 days in a row.
Yeah.
So. And that's like actual time on set. That's not including everything before and after that has to be done. So it's going to be busy, but it'll be good. I like to be busy.
It'll be a good week, and then we can go back to our regular scheduled program.
Yeah,
where on Sundays we get to go to church and then come home and watch F1.
Yes, can't wait.
Because I'm kind of upset tomorrow. This was part of the conversation. So I pulled up the notes app and I saw that funny thing and I was like, oh man, I go to some weird places late night sometimes.
That's okay.
But I've been wanting to have this conversation with you because I feel like in motorsports it's a male dominated audience usually, and it's a male dominated sport.
Yes.
And that's not because females aren't welcome in there. It's just it does take a different, I think, mentality, and it's like you said, hyper organized.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is competition at the highest level, because it really is just you internally going in and being so...
Well, and not that females aren't capable of doing that. They absolutely are. I think it's just one of the last types of sports that females as athletes have taken a huge interest in.
Well, but that's what I'm not saying, that they're not hyper competitive, because there are a lot of like female soccer players or female, there's even female football players, and there's female baseball players, softball players, there's gymnasts and all the different things.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just meaning that with racing, I think it just takes it's a more masculine like focus. I don't know. Like to me, I can see, like, when I used to race dirt bikes, it does take a different type of person who wants to strap themselves to an engine.
Yeah. Well, and the physicality of it that you don't realize is a part of the sport is very intense. Like we were talking the other day when we were watching Drive to Survive on Netflix, which is one of our favorite shows. We were talking about the difference in the width of the necks of the drivers compared to other people who are super fit, like they're trainers, but just because their bodies have to be so muscular and so in shape in order to withstand the G-forces.
Well, it's a lot of things that, and this is, I think, just goes back to the dawn of time, is just, like certain things, like going and hunting saber-toothed tigers was more of a male-dominated sport probably back in the day.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's just a dangerous thing. And so in the mentality, like, guys like those thrills more than women, I think. Like, guys like to live on the edge of death because it's just, I think that's how we've evolved in time, I don't think a lot of women are like, oh, I want to get up and, go strap myself to a 200-mile-an-hour rocket and try to take a turn at 150 miles an hour.
I don't know. I hope one day it'd be really cool to see a female driver in F1. I would love to see that.
I'm by no means saying there shouldn't be or there's not going to be. I'm just saying it's been dominated for a reason. But to me, I love it because when you look on a race team, though, there's a billion different people. There's women race owners.
For sure.
Like, it's not that women aren't a part of the sport. It's just that there
just aren't currently any drivers. Yeah, that are women.
Then you flip the coin and you have football, and there's a way higher percentage of female viewers that watch football than there are male. Or I'm sorry, than they watch like F1.
Yeah.
So I kind of was thinking about this. I was interested in it because when we first met, I don't think you were as into motorsports as
I wasn't into motorsports at all.
Okay, at all.
No.
Oh, okay.
I'd been to one NASCAR race and I'd never watched a whole race on TV. Could not care less. Then I went to a race.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, this is awesome in person. But I think really what drew me into loving F1 was when you told me about the show, the first season of Drive to Survive on Netflix, and you were like, you should really watch this, it's really good. And in my head, I'm like, oh, great, show about racing. Like, who cares? I don't even know what F1 is.
Yeah.
And we started watching it, and I was immediately hooked. And I think just the getting to see the behind the scenes and really understanding how many people it takes to, like, make the car happen and to help the driver and really to facilitate everything and the drama behind the scenes within a team and with teams versus other teams and stuff like that is super, super interesting. So it made me enjoy watching the races more because through that show, I've been able to get to know, so to speak, the characters that are at play.
And it's definitely a drama-filled sport because of how much energy goes into one race.
Oh my gosh, and the money is insane.
The money is insane. Oh, but like football, for instance, too. And you grew up watching football.
Love football.
That's your like number one sport, probably, right?
Yes, definitely.
And it's the
Carolina Panthers are who I grew up loving. Yes. Yes. I was 11 years old when they started as an expansion team in 1995. It was the same year that the Jacksonville Jaguars started as a team. And we lived in Greenville, South Carolina at the time when they started. And while they were building Bank of America Stadium, which wasn't Bank of America Stadium back then, I think it was Ericsson Stadium, maybe, which used to be like a cellular company. But while they were building that in Charlotte, they played their first season of home games at Death Valley at Clemson. And that was only 45 minutes from where I was growing up. So we got first season home tickets and went to their very first game ever. And I loved watching football before then. I would watch it with my dad.
Yeah.
I would sit on his lap and we would have football Sundays when he was home. And
drink beer.
I would take a little sip of his beer every once in a while. I'm not sure that I liked it, but it was more just a cool thing to get to do with my dad and stuff.
Daddy's drinking this. I want some.
Yeah, I want to check it out. And he was a Chiefs fan because he's from Kansas. But then it was so cool getting to go to those Panthers games because I already loved football and was really starting to understand the game. And then finally got to go to my first NFL game. And after that, I was done.
Yeah.
Nothing like it.
And I think that's how most, I would just assume that most kids are drawn into the sport is by their parents, obviously. And I think that's a big thing too in the States alone. F1 hasn't, or motorsports in general aren't as giant as they are in other countries. Like soccer or football in Europe is huge. And then there's motorsports. Right. There's MotoGP, there's F1, then you have all the there's Euro rally cars.
Right.
And, there's a whole different sport of side to sports. So I think in the States, you really have baseball as a dominant one. Football is the dominant one as a kid. And so, a lot of girls, as young girls, sit with their dads on Sundays and, watch football. And so that to me is how or why there's more females that watch NFL than there are F1. Right. And again, it boils down to, I think, certain men, too, tend to find themselves liking more extreme stuff than...
Well, and I think, like you said, with, girls sitting with their dads, learning about a sport and stuff like that, F1 hasn't been super popular in the United States until recently. Yeah. And now they're adding more and more races. They're adding Vegas for 2023. We've already got Austin and Miami. Yep. So I think it'll be interesting to see with these upcoming generations what they do really like, because now there are more people, men and women, watching F1 than ever before. Yeah. And that Netflix show has definitely helped spark that interest.
Yeah. I can think of a few female friends that I have that have gone to races. I've watched, I've seen their posts and stuff. And so this is by no means me saying that there isn't females that are interested. There's probably a giant amount, but it's definitely in motorsports. You just see a higher a higher group of males go to these races. And I can even think back on tours where we would play some of these events like NASCAR events and stuff like that, and I would be so excited, and you could see every just 90% of the crew was like, what, why are we here, this is so ridiculous, and I'd be over there in the pits just looking at all the engines and watching them change tires, and it sounds so I don't, maybe there's something very mechanical about it too that and I think, but that boils down to even further, there's a way more percentage of males who are mechanically inclined and tend to fall into those jobs because of, maybe it's just in the DNA. I don't know.
Well, I think just in history so far, there have been those types of jobs were more what males would go into anyways, because obviously for a very long time, women were expected to stay home and cook and clean and do all that kind of stuff. And the men would go out and they would do the dirty jobs and all of those kinds of things. But what I was also going to say is I think another reason that you're probably so excited about motorsports is because your dad is a car freak.
True.
So you grew up around somebody who he knows more about cars than anybody I've ever met. It's insane.
He does know a lot about cars.
He is obsessed.
I don't even think he knows.
And he sold cars, and so like
he doesn't even know my birthday, but he knows everything.
He knows your birthday, but he is like deeply ingrained into that whole area of knowledge, which passed along to you certainly.
Oh, for sure. I can't remember. Let's just say I can't remember a day that we sat on the couch and watched Motorsports, but everything revolved around cars when I was a kid.
Right.
So I mean, the minute he would talk about motorcycles, he would show me motorcycles. It was just different. I didn't grow up with him the entire time I was a child, so there was definitely moments where, like I did the typical baseball thing, or I did the other, like, I want to try. I think I tried like roller hockey one time.
Okay.
And then obviously skateboarding was an easy one, and then bicycles, and then I met a bunch of friends that were, like my closest friends in high school, Andy, Slop, Neil, all these guys
rode
dirt bikes and bicycles, and and then through them met people like Mikey Foster, and like our buddy Billy was a big racing guy, and then we worked at dirt bike shops, and so I think to me I just was, from the time that I really started to live with my dad and start to really want to become or go down avenues, I was like, oh, wow, look at how fast they go. And then there was obviously like a very rock stylish lifestyle to motorsports.
Oh, 100%.
It is, you look at these F1 drivers, they're 21, 18, 19 years old, making millions of dollars, going 200 miles an hour. I mean, I don't know, there's something very attractive. As a male, I was like, I want that. So watching it, to me, it's like, man, I still wish I could do that, but I obviously can't. There's just I'm too old now.
Right.
I mean, I could go race a car, but like to be an F1 driver, you really have to grow up in the sport.
You've got to start real young.
And the same thing with like NFL. Like, I mean, I like watching football, but there's no way I'm going to go, no matter how great a shape I am when I hit 40, there's no way that I'm going down to the, Titans training facility and You're not trying to be a walk-on. No. But
definitely
I just love it, and I was just, I don't know, I was thinking about it, I was like, man, I don't think Berkeley ever really grew up watching this, and so it interests me as to what really turned you on about it, and I can see where the drama side would be the first initial thing. They're like, ooh, because that show is really good about drawing you in, but then once you're drawn in, like, I feel like sometimes you say stuff to me and I'm like, whoa, I didn't even know that. And you're like, oh yeah, it's in the F1 news right now. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, so you're definitely becoming a fan as opposed to just watching the drama that's on.
Yeah, it's not just about the drama. I mean, I think you've mentioned it before on the show. I am hyper competitive.
Yeah.
So like growing up and playing sports and just like even at like work and stuff, like wanting to be the best at anything that I do or am interested in. I love to just like take all the details in and really learn about stuff that I'm interested in and be knowledgeable about it. And I mean, F1 it's a different beast. I mean, I think one of the things I've enjoyed most, even besides like getting to learn more about the drivers and their personalities and all that kind of stuff, I think I really watch the show a lot more so for the principles of the teams. I think it's really interesting watching how they have to understand the sport better than anybody in order to run the 200 people or whatever it is per team that are making the sport happen, because, they're the ones making the in-the-moment executive decisions and trying to finagle and finesse, like, how to best deal with each driver's personality. And, it's very similar to artist management, I think, in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I can see that.
So I've really enjoyed that part of it. Like when we watch a race, I miss getting to see and hear what the principals are saying and thinking while the race is happening, which we don't get until that racing season is over and the new Netflix season comes out. So there is their split-second decision really does come down to a tenth of a second or a second here or there, and
whether they pit someone or change tires or, it really is, although it's one person in the car, it is 100% a team sport. And, and some of the decisions they make are really hard. And I think that is that manager in you, because sometimes you have to make a hard decision as a parent or a manager or even as a friend. Sometimes it's like to tell someone not to do something, like you're watching these two drivers, because, okay, if you don't know, F1 has 20 teams, and each team has two drivers.
10 teams.
10 teams.
Two drivers.
There's 20 drivers, yeah. There's 10
two
teams.
Drivers per team.
2 drivers per team. And they say it a lot, and it's always been a thing, but drivers, your first competition is your teammate.
Yeah, that is your biggest competition.
And that's a really hard thing when you think about it, because sure, you're competing against 19 other people, but in reality, your first person out of the pits, or on a qualifying day, is your teammate. You want to out-qualify them first, and then you want to hit that pole, or you want to position way better than them at the end of the race.
Right.
And if you do that, you kind of win in a way. But it's interesting to watch principals when they have to tell one driver over the other driver.
Because the principal has to make the best decision for the team, for the team to get points, but not for the driver. But the driver wants to make the best decision for themselves, for their points for the championship. Since there's two different championships going on at the same time in F1, the constructors, which is basically like the team's championship for how great of a car they put together.
Yeah, you have 3 places.
And they want the car overall to get the best spot. It doesn't matter who's driving the car as long as it's one of the cars.
Yeah, and then if you have one driver that slowly starts to get more points, you have to be the team principal that, like, if it's a matter of that guy being first or second, he's going to get X amount of more points than the other guy. So it's like, well, hey, slow down and let this guy become number one.
Yeah, I mean, there's just so much strategy within that 100%. Sport that is so interesting.
Yeah.
It's like playing chess.
It is a very, I think that's what I love about motorsports, is that it really is like how you're like looking at the guy and you're like, oh, he's making a decision. You're like, no, there's so many other things that are factoring into this guy driving the way he does. If you listen to like the calls that they're making for these drivers and the different positions that they can put the cars in to go faster or save energy or it really is a crazy game of chess. And football has very similar things too. There's different coaches looking at different plays, looking at stats, looking at...
That's probably another reason I like football so much, is because it is a strategy game.
Well, all sports have that strategy mentality. It just, now you're really basing it on, well, football is a little more energetic than this sport, or maybe how you grew up, because it regions to regions too. Some people love basketball. Right. Over loving.
Or hockey.
And it's because they grew up in a region that probably is dominated by hockey, like Canadians love hockey and maple syrup.
Yes.
That's not a stereotype.
And
it's just a real thing. It's just facts.
Is it facts?
Like New Englanders loved Tom Brady.
Yes.
I think they still do.
I think most still do. Most. I think they were totally blindsided by him being like, I'm retiring, J/K.
Yeah. I've always thought that the most interesting part to sports in general, and this is one thing I can't wait to show our littles, are the facts that as you look at statistics, it's like looking at a pitcher. Okay, this guy over his career throws more fastballs. The team is able to feed this info back to you and be like, okay, the chances of the next ball coming out of his hand is going to be a fastball. Down the center, swing at it.
Right.
You're swinging because there's a chance. You're not swinging because you 100% know that you're going to hit the ball.
Right.
You're just swinging because
the probability
is way higher, because by the time the ball leaves his hand, fractions of a second.
Right.
To make a decision whether you're going to swing or not. And I think that there's like a YouTube video that's pretty cool about that too. It's like a batter, no matter how many steroids you pump into these guys, swinging the bat is still that's a thing. You really have to, before it leaves that guy's hand, you're like, okay,
am I going to swing or am I not going to swing?
Yeah, because you can't make that decision halfway when the ball's halfway to the plate.
Right.
If you blink or like twitch, you're done.
Yeah.
So, but driving an F1 car, is very similar, because as your two cars are going down a straightaway into the first turn, doesn't matter if it's left or right. You're thinking, okay, I know this guy always brakes a little harder here, or your team might be telling you that, and your like driver spotter guys like, okay, on this straightaway, brake a 1/10 of a second slower or like longer than this guy.
Yeah. And
it's not because whatever, it's just going to hold you up that much more, or you're going to get in front of them and then you're going to be able to make the pass. Then there's the talent inside of it. I don't know. There's just so much to these like sports that I love them. And I'm not a giant sports fanatic. I just love that idea of winning.
Yeah. Well, you're very competitive as well.
Oh, of course. I want to win.
Yeah, you want to win.
We had this talk the other day where we were like, oh my gosh, what if our kids are just not competitive at all?
I just don't think that that's possible based on the two of us.
Yeah. I mean, I and the comment was made because, well, as some may or may not notice, BK hasn't been drinking on these shows for a while now.
I have not. There's a little nugget in here, y'all. We got baby number 2 on the way.
So, but we were kind of discussing this. It was like, oh my gosh, like, we know that one of them hasn't really, it's taken a little longer just maybe in our thought process. Who knows how long it really takes a kid. But we're like, oh, he hasn't done this yet, or he hasn't done this yet. We're like, but the other one, I bet you the minute they see him doing something, will want to do it. So it'll push them to want to be better. And I think that that's what sports do to people. They push you to want to be faster or stronger or better. And so
you're trying to keep up with your teammates and stuff, for sure. And we were talking about it. A very good friend of ours, they have a little boy. They have, he just turned 3. And then they have a daughter who is like a week younger than our son. So she's going to be 1 soon. And they have noticed that exact thing happening. Yeah. She was crawling way earlier than their son was because she's wanting to keep up with their son and hang out with him and, trying to talk and trying to learn how to walk and rolling over and doing all the things simply because
he's doing them.
Because she wants to be able to hang out with her older brother.
For sure. I think that's going to be the one cool thing when it comes down to like our kids, is the fact that I don't really care what they do. I'm not going to push them either way. Like, I would love to see one of them go down the motorsports route. Yeah. But I do know that we put things on, like we have cartoons on for him some days, or but he does watch Supercross and he watches F1 with us.
Yep.
And it's interesting because he does pay attention. You're almost like, whoa.
Yeah.
He has no idea what anything really is happening. He just sees things moving and jumping and going
making
fast.
Making loud noises and
so it'll be interesting to see that, because I also, like, there's the other side of me too, that like I want to go in the backyard and throw the baseball around and show him how to swing a bat.
Yeah.
And hit a baseball.
Show him how to throw the perfect football spiral.
I don't even know if I can throw a perfect. I mean, I can throw.
I got you.
Okay. You're on the football side.
Yeah, I'll handle the football side.
No, I don't know why. I mean, I'm not gonna say I don't like football. I just was never a big football person growing up.
And like you said, it's a lot of family.
Yeah.
For that, and I think, like you also said, it's the region where you grow up. I mean, I mostly grew up in the South, and I mean, as you obviously know, SEC football is absolutely bananas, and that just kind of then translates over into love for professional football. So,
I am interested to see how things progress in the world of motorsports now going forward, because of shows like, it's getting more popular, in other words. So it'll be interesting to see where the direction is in 10, 15 years, because of shows like this Netflix thing.
Yeah.
And where kids take it. And
if Netflix did a show, or somebody did a show like Drive to Survive for NASCAR, I would be more interested in NASCAR.
Yeah.
Because there are plenty of things about NASCAR that I don't understand or know about, as far as like the rules and, you know, how all of those things are handled. But, you know, there's not really a way to learn about that unless you're learning about it from somebody else.
Google.
Yeah,
but I know exactly what you mean, though. If I would have never shown you that show, we probably wouldn't have an F1
it'd be
account.
on, but I don't know that I'd really be paying much attention unless there was a crash. Because that's always exciting.
It is always exciting. I will have to say that in my experience with motorsports, watching on TV is one thing, but going is a bigger, to me. It's the same way with any, like, watching a baseball game on TV, not so much.
Going in person,
baseball game,
awesome.
So much better.
Yeah,
so
agree.
Maybe I think that's what it took me so long to, as a kid or even as into my adult, to really get into football and basketball and baseball and all those things, is because I enjoyed them because of family members. Mm-hmm. But the first time I went to like a Colorado Rockies game was because of my uncle. Mm-hmm. That walking out and seeing that field, and I think you had a very similar experience too. Mm-hmm. Seeing these fields in person brings out something different.
Definitely. I mean, baseball, my family wasn't like super into baseball until we moved to Massachusetts.
Okay.
And it is just, I mean, the Red Sox are a way of life up there, to the point where, like, if you don't know anything about them or don't watch them at all,
you're shunned
during baseball season, you just aren't a part of the conversation because everybody is talking about the Red Sox.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to listen to people talk about it either way, so you may as well join in. But we became huge fans of the Red Sox after moving up there, and the local sports network up there, Nesson, is awesome. And Rem Dog, who has passed away, but he was like the best announcer.
Gotcha.
And it just became this like way of life. So we would watch all the games. The first Red Sox game I ever went to, the company my dad used to work for had season tickets that were like second row.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, insane. Like behind, I think they were behind the visitors' dugout maybe. And so the first game I got to go to was because he was able to get those tickets, and I just fell in love with it. And I think one of the other reasons that loving the Red Sox was so interesting was probably because they did lose all the time, so it was always like, okay, well, we'll get him next season. We'll get him next season.
And then they finally did.
Oh yeah, and then I was in college at the University of Massachusetts when the Red Sox were finally doing awesome, and when those like riots were happening at my school that made like national news. I was literally in college when those were happening.
Wow.
Like watching all of it go on. I did not participate. People started getting kicked out of school and stuff for being a part of it, but it was absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
And then my dad surprised me one year, and this is after I had graduated. We'd already won one World Series at this point. And then I had graduated, and we'd won one series way back, but then the most recent, we had won in 2004 when I was in college. And then in, I think it was 2007 was the next time that we won. So I was living in Boston at the time. I had graduated in 2006. And my dad was like, oh, I'm going to come up to Massachusetts for business. Why don't we like go to one of the bars down by Fenway Park and we'll just watch the game there. And it was game one of that year's World Series, and it was at home. And he surprised me, and we went to the World Series. And that was just the freaking coolest thing ever. Yeah. It was so awesome just getting to like have that memory with him. And I had forgotten all about this, when I was a senior. Yeah, I was a senior in college. I think it was my junior or senior year. Two of my girlfriends and I decided that we were going to drive from UMass Amherst, which is in like the mountains of western Massachusetts, like very, very close to the border of Connecticut. We decided we're going to drive all the way to Florida for spring break. And the main reason that we decided to go to Florida was because we wanted to go to Fort Myers to go to the Red Sox spring training. So we actually went and we got to watch a spring training game, and we sat in like the players' wives' seats or whatever at spring training. And I mean, it's in this like tiny, like local, I mean, it's not even a stadium. There's like bleachers, basically. So you get to be super, super close to the players and watch everything. And that was really amazing.
Yeah. I mean, I can see young BK just having a ball.
All the beers. Good times.
What sign did you hold up?
I did not take a sign.
No?
No. No sign.
This would be
but we all had our like Red Sox jerseys on and our hats.
Did it say future Mrs. So-and-so on the back?
It did not. It did not. I had no interest in marrying a baseball player. I just loved watching the game.
But that's what I dig about you. I don't know. There's something that I think that really, when we first started like getting to know each other, I don't think we talked specifically about sports, but I could tell that you were a competitive person.
Yeah. Well, our first date, I suggested we go to a baseball game. So we kept it super casual and drank beer and went to a local game.
And that was the awesome part about it, is that it really is about sitting there. I don't know how many baseball games I've been to, and I don't remember who actually won or whatever.
For sure.
Because
Plenty.
It's more just about going to the game, having a beer,
outside,
grabbing a hot dog.
Yeah.
Jinx.
Watching the fireworks.
And that to me, though, too, is motorsports. Like, I don't watch the whole race every second of every turn. I mean, sometimes I do, but sometimes I'm like, I have friends over, we're talking to other people.
Right.
Or, you know, there's something to be said. So going to races, to me, is about that. Cool, let's watch the start. Let's watch all the, pre-race stuff. Let's get everything going, get a couple laps in, and then, all right, let's go grab a drink. All right, cool. Let's walk and watch a couple more laps.
Yeah.
Cool, nothing's happened. Let's go over here. Because it really is. It is a tedious sport to watch.
Yeah.
It
can be for sure.
Yeah, well, you're especially NASCAR, because you are watching people go in circles.
Yes.
Yes. Let's be real. But
and if there's not a lot of action, like people changing places, like battling for first or third or whatever, or a crash, it's like, all right, I'm literally watching you just go around and around and around.
And there is something to be said about those races too, because you're like, wow, these guys are like, that guy in the front and the guy in the second and the guy in third, they are really good because they're holding that position.
For sure.
So it is one of those moments where you're like there's so much respect, but at the same time, you're like, I just want to see something happen.
Right.
Oh, I just want to see something happen.
Yeah. Our attention span as humans in general is not really built for that.
But that's baseball too. You're like,
oh, it's so true.
You're like, just score oh my gosh, soccer or football, however you want to. Like, sometimes you can watch 90 minutes of a game and you're like,
no one has scored. What is happening?
Literally 3 people have passed the ball back and forth to each other. All I want to see is someone score a goal. But that's that talent, though. These guys are so good at what they do that they're able to keep the ball away from so-and-so, who's a great player.
Definitely.
Or this pitcher who's pitching a no-hitter is so good that no one on the other team can hit the ball.
Yeah.
Like, that is insane to think about. But those are those moments and those are those memories that I think make sports, and especially motorsports, to me so exciting, because, when you watch someone crush someone else's record, I mean, there's nothing to be said about that. You literally just watch someone break something.
Yeah.
And surpass it, and now they are the record holder. History being made. We watched, a few years back after we got married, we went to Vegas and had our honeymoon. We went to Colorado and then went to Vegas. And part of that was we got to go and spend a night watching the big Supercross race.
So cool.
And it was. And our buddy Mike totally gave us a giant surprise too. And we didn't only get to watch with him and Eli Tomac's family for a very short amount of time, but he handed us these 2 passes and he's like, go stand in the middle of, not in the middle of the track, but
go to the VIP section.
Go to the VIP section, have fun. And we were right there, watching
So
this
cool.
race as close as we possibly could.
It was awesome.
And that night we didn't see necessarily history being made, but 2, 3, 4 weeks ago, something like that. We were watching the race, and I'd mentioned a comment to you. I said, it's always fun when you watch someone get far out in front.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's really fun to watch someone get so far out in front, and they're so good at what they're doing that day that they're able to now start lapping people.
Yeah.
And that lapping people...
He lapped people twice.
Yeah, because, you're not going to see... In, let's say a sprint, you're not going to see a lot of people lap people because it's a sprint.
Right.
But a long, 20-hour, 30-minute race, you have this ability to go around the track so fast that you catch up to the last place person.
Yeah.
And then if you're really good, then you start
catch up to him again.
then you start to go deeper and deeper.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm watching him, I'm telling you, I was like, yeah, but when I was a kid, I remember watching this guy named Jeremy McGrath, and he was always so good that he would lap into, and Ricky Carmichael's, these guys would lap into, the top 10.
Yeah.
That's insane. That means that they're so fast that they've then caught up to 10 people that they started the race with and passed them by a whole lap.
Yeah. And then we watched it happen.
We watched the guy go almost to the sixth place person.
So crazy.
And it's not like it's not like a 10-second little lap. That means that they are a minute faster than these other people.
Like a minute and 30 seconds faster.
Yeah, it's insane.
Twice. So they're basically 3 minutes faster than these other people.
He lapped a couple of people 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
I mean, it was insane. You just don't see that a lot in motorsports because a lot of times teams are so good that there is a lot of competition.
Mm-hmm.
But when that one person can have a breakthrough moment that day, they clearly dialed everything, and we always called it dialing because you're tweaking, making little tweaks here and little tweaks there. And that's what's interesting to me about motorsports, and that's why I love it so much, because of that. Because you don't, in football, you see big tweaks.
Mm-hmm.
You really don't see the linemen going and tightening their shoelaces.
Right.
But in motorsports, you'll hear them pull off into the pit lane, and they'll be like, hey, we need to tighten up the rear end a little bit, or we need to whatever they might do, or they might switch the mode on the F1 car's steering wheels. And so what they're doing is they're doing these fine tweaks, whether it be computer-based or, mechanical. And there's just something so cool about that.
Yeah, I agree. It's been awesome learning about it. I've enjoyed it.
I'm stoked that you love it, because to me,
it's fun to watch together.
Well, to me, it makes my life so much better, because then I'm like, why don't we as a family go over here and watch this, as opposed to see ya.
Yeah, definitely. All right, I'm going to go do this. I'll see you later.
Now, there are going to be times where I'm going to have to go to some races, just guys only.
Well, we'll see about that.
We shall see about that.
We shall see.
I'm trying to think what try. Probably Monaco. I had to go guys only.
How dare you? That's definitely not happening. Definitely not happening. Y'all can go to Austin together.
Austin, Massachusetts together. Awesome.
Austin.
I know, I'm playing.
I was like, Austin, Texas?
You ever seen that? Is it it's an old movie with Tom Green. He's like,
oh no.
He went to Austin, Massachusetts.
No, I did not get that reference.
Yeah, good tell. So now that you've been watching these with me for, I don't know, a while now. 10 years.
No, I mean, it's been, I guess,
really
4 years now?
Well, I mean, truthfully, we've
4
really
years?
dove in the last 2.5 years.
Yeah.
Who is your F1 team?
Ferrari.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
You all Ferrari?
Yeah.
What is it about them?
Well, I mean,
just
Ferrari
for the listeners,
is definitely an iconic
if you were
racing sports team in general. I mean, if you think of one of the most iconic sports cars in history, it would be the Ferrari.
Yeah.
But then they've also been synonymous with the sport of F1 since it started. They were there at the very beginning. They've had some really incredible drivers as part of their team. And when we started watching Drive to Survive, and Charles Leclerc became a driver, and he drove for one season for, who did he drive for?
Alfa Romeo.
Alfa Romeo, was it?
Mm-hmm.
And then, but he was saying, like, you know, the goal one day is to get to drive for Ferrari because that's just like the historic, iconic team. And then after one season, he proves himself and gets to drive for Ferrari. And he's just been a very stand-up guy throughout. You know, just seems to be a very fair, but competitive driver. And I've just enjoyed getting to know him through the show, and he's doing awesome this season so far, which is really amazing to watch. So
I think that's a good way to explain it to if you were to ever like have to tell that to someone who doesn't watch F1. I think that's a pretty good reason to like Ferrari.
That's your team too, isn't it?
Yeah, I've always had a hard time choosing like one driver or one team or one, and it's not because I can't. I love motorsports in general, so I just like to watch a good race.
Yeah.
But over, the history of my 39 years, the first car I can ever remember falling in love with was a Ferrari. You know, there wasn't anything other than I thought was the most rock star car in the world was a Ferrari. And still to this day, I think that there's something magical about the brand in the way that you have to buy it, the way that you own them, the way that it's a club in a way, you know, and I think that that's what really, and Italy, I mean, Italian stuff in general. I mean, I like pasta.
And I like pasta.
I like pizza. I mean,
yes.
So there's so much, I think, just in general about the brand that I don't know, there's something very magical. So so when I look at F1, like I think Ferrari automatically. And so I'll always root for them. But then at the end of the day, like I have to say that there's some other drivers that I really think are very impressive. You know, like I really like Lando Norris. Yeah,
he is definitely a really awesome up and comer for McLaren.
I think what it is you can tell someone has just not only there's one thing to have swagger, but there's also a lot to be said when you see someone have talent and swagger.
He's very talented.
Yeah. He's just a good driver. You know, like I like Ricciardo.
Daniel Ricciardo.
But I like him because he's funny.
His personality is great. He's a goofball.
He's a good driver, but I wouldn't say that I would choose him as my driver, you know?
Yeah.
There's something to be said.
Carlos Sainz. I also love Carlos Sainz. He's a good dude.
He's a Spaniard. He's like me.
I know, yeah.
You know, so there's the...
Good dude.
I think we're distant cousins.
Very, very distant cousins, yeah. But you can tell he's like worked at it for a long time and like really, really, really improved himself. And he just re-signed his deal with Ferrari, which is awesome.
Yeah, their team right now is
top notch. Yeah.
Yeah. The other one that I really like, but he's very quiet and you never hear a lot of him, is Bottas.
Yeah, I like Bottas.
He's just very like Norwegian.
100%.
Like he's just very...
Is he Finnish?
I
Finnish,
think so,
right?
Something like
I think
that.
so. Yeah.
Yeah, but he's so serious at times. You're like, come on, break, do something, smile, anything.
Yeah.
But he's such a driver, though. I don't know. He is the epitome of what a driver, in my opinion, looks like.
Yes.
And how their attitudes are, and what.
Yeah.
I don't know. You can see that he is a very competitive, focused person.
Yeah, I like him too. And his name is escaping me right now, but he's another one of the young up-and-coming drivers that I really like to root for. He's driving for Mercedes now. He was with Williams. Russell, yeah, George Russell. He's awesome. I like him a lot. I think he's going to go a long way.
Yeah, Pierre Gasly. I mean,
there's so many good ones. So many.
It's hard to watch.
We could just name like everybody.
It's hard to watch the show too because though there are like really strict standards in the racing community, like NASCAR, they're stock cars. Supposedly, each car is exactly the same, and it really boils down to the driver. F1, you get to design your car, and you have to hold certain standards to the FIA racing, world and all that. But Ferrari can design a better car, and if you put a really good driver in a really good car, look at Lewis Hamilton. He's perfect example of
phenomenal driver in a phenomenal car up until this season. This season's been a bit of a struggle.
He's been at the top for so long. It's really, really mentally taxing to be up there.
And Mercedes had a tough time with their car the first couple of races.
Yeah.
They had a lot to get dialed in.
Yeah, and when you have to design a new car every year almost.
Yeah. I mean, you do. You have to start from scratch.
Yeah.
Every year.
Like there's
Crazy.
certain components I think that transfer over, obviously, like tires. But
yeah,
even
but
then,
you're always looking to improve.
yeah, you're always looking to improve. So I mean, yeah, you're gonna come across those moments where you think that you're doing something great because you did it great for 7 years, and then boom,
Yeah.
now you're stuck. But the nice part is yeah, they put people like Russell in the next seat behind Lewis because they know that Lewis is one day going to slowly make his way out.
Yeah.
And
Can't be number
it's
one
like
forever.
all the greats do it. Gretzky's, the freaking Larry Birds of the world, the Michael Jordans, they all go away and someone comes up. Here's,
got to make room.
there'll be a next LeBron.
Yep, 100%.
And so, I don't know. To me, I'm just so happy that you enjoy motorsports and you enjoy it this day. So I wanted to bring it up to the listeners. I wanted them to hear us talk about something more passionate than just working out and being healthy and trying to be parents. It's like, I think
we have other interests.
we have a whole bunch of interests, and I think that one thing that I would love to do more is talk about some of those other interests more. But I'd love to talk more about F1 because I really do love just motorsports in general. And in 2023, we are
Vegas. We're gonna try to go to Vegas.
We are going.
Yes.
No matter what, we will figure it out.
It'll be so cool.
Maybe we'll do a B&B something from Vegas.
That would be awesome.
Have a meetup with some of our friends, our B&B friends.
Yeah.
Have a drink somewhere on the strip and watch some cars go by really, really fast.
Yeah.
So
hopefully I won't be pregnant for that race. So I can enjoy some Bevvies. But who knows?
I don't know.
You never know. We might have
know.
baby number 3 on the way by then. We'll see what
All
happens.
I know is that Netflix better figure it out and keep their money allocated towards F1.
Yeah. If anything happens to Netflix, then some other network better pick up Drive to Survive because I need that show to continue forever. I'm obsessed. It's so good. So everybody, if you're listening and you don't watch Drive to Survive, go check it out. Let us know what you think. Let us know who your teams are.
Yeah. You want to know one of the most interesting things? I know that we're wrapping up here, but I always found it so intriguing that season 1, they only show you a few teams because you could see, and I'm going to say this in a nice way, but you could see the snootiness of Ferrari and Mercedes being like, we don't want to be a part of the show because we don't know where it's going to go.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I mean, I can't blame them because
I can't blame them either.
They also, that show goes more in depth than a lot of sports or artists or whoever's being filmed would normally allow.
Oh my god.
You really get to see the nitty-gritty inner workings of those things. So, if you don't want people to see what you're up to or
we've still never seen inside the Mercedes or Ferrari warehouse.
Nope.
They've never shown a mechanical part.
Nope.
They've never shown a computer screen. They've never...
I think we've seen like Toto's office and that's about it.
Yeah, there was a stapler on this desk.
Yeah. Or they're like in a conference room or something like that.
But that just goes to show you when you're spending $500 million a year on a race team, you want it to be kept a secret because the people who are spending $200 million want to know all those secrets.
Yeah, 100%.
All I can say is that it was, but my point was that season 1, it really shows you that
season 1's all about Red Bull.
Allows you to just get in depth with drivers, because they start to show the other side of the field. Because if you were just to turn on F1, it would just be all Ferrari and all Lewis Hamilton, for the last 7 years.
Yeah,
it'd be hard to
and Red Bull,
and then all of a sudden, you watch this show and you're like, oh, wow, I didn't know there was 3 other teams or 4 other teams or, oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Who's Williams?
Right.
or who's Race Point? It's
right. Yeah. Or Haas.
Or Gunter.
Poor sweet Haas. I love Gunter.
He's such a good guy.
He's great.
So, yeah, I would definitely, as a race fan, trying to talk about a different sport or something that potentially can interest you, I would definitely recommend. Yeah, go start with the Race to Survive. I mean, they're not clearly not paying us anything.
No,
so
no, definitely
this is just
not.
strictly because I love racing.
We just love that show. Love racing.
So, All right, well, let's do it. Let's call it.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful day. We got some stuff to do.
Yes.
You're looking fidgety over there.
Oh, sorry. I don't
There's
know.
a little one rolling around already.
No, my work text messages are starting to come in.
Oh, the other work.
The other work.
The other work. Okay. Well, just to do some quick housekeeping though, things are still going good. I've been working on my percentage 1% better every day.
Yes.
And the last few weeks have been really good. I've been rowing and killing it.
You're looking fly.
Yeah, I just went under 150.
Yeah, beep.
So
Good job.
I think I've lost somewhere around 16 pounds now.
That's amazing. Yeah, I legit got down to my pre-pregnancy weight and then found out I was pregnant. So we are back in the cycle.
Yeah, but you're spinning.
I'm spinning.
Which is awesome. But you're not like going crazy. You're just taking You're trotting in.
Yeah. Now that we're in the second trimester, feel good about getting back into it and going to try and stay healthier this time around. Not that I wasn't healthy with our first pregnancy, but
for sure.
It'll definitely be more helpful to be able to bounce back faster this time. Hopefully no crazy complications like last time.
Or shizzle.
Yeah.
And we just always want to thank our sponsors, BetterHelp. They definitely, if you're going through something, just, feel free to get online. They're confidential and you don't have to talk to anybody in person either, which makes it, I think.
You can get 10% off with the code BACKYARD.
And then we love our friends down at Peterson Barbecue. And,
yes, we do.
And our friends over in Texas, Level Up Roofing, and our friends down in Florida as well. The Inked Vanity people sent us a really cool hat.
And our Earthworks microphone.
Oh my gosh.
Love them.
These things are game changer.
Amazing. Love.
Thank you all so much. Let's go enjoy the day.
Yeah. Y'all have a wonderful week.
Have a wonderful week. Catch up on your F1. Do us a favor. Let's start some online chats with some F1 stuff too. Hit us up. Let us know what you think. And
don't tell me who wins the race tomorrow because I can't watch it.
I'm going to watch it without her. I'm watching it out with her.
Boo. Bottoms up, everybody.
Cheers.
See
Bottoms
ya.
up.
Bye.